Shakespeare's sonnets are typically divided into three main thematic groups. 1. The procreation sonnets, sonnets 1 to 17. These sonnets encourage a young man to marry and have children to preserve his beauty and virtues for future generations. 2. The fair youth sonnets, sonnets 18 to 126. These sonnets are addressed to a young man of great beauty and express the poet's deep affection and admiration for him. This section explores themes of love, beauty, time, and mortality. The Dark Lady sonnets, sonnets 127 to 154. These sonnets are addressed to a mysterious woman, often referred to as the Dark Lady due to her dark complexion. They delve into themes of lust, infidelity, and the complexities of sexual desire. Each section of the sonnets reveals different facets of human emotion and relationships, showcasing Shakespeare's profound understanding of love and the human condition. The Procreation Sonnets of William Shakespeare. An introduction. William Shakespeare's sonnets are a cornerstone of English literature, admired for their lyrical beauty and profound insights into human nature. The first 17 sonnets in this collection are known as the Procreation Sonnets. Addressed to a young man, these sonnets encourage him to marry and have children, ensuring his beauty and virtues are passed on to future generations. Let's explore these remarkable poems. Sonnet 1. From fairest creatures we desire increase. Shakespeare begins his series by emphasizing the importance of procreation. He argues that the most beautiful creatures should reproduce to preserve their beauty. The young man's refusal to have children is seen as a waste of his beauty, which would otherwise perish with him. From fairest creatures we desire increase, that thereby beauty's rose might never die. But as the riper should by time decease, his tender air might bear his memory. But thou, contracted to thine own bright eyes, feedst thy light's flame with self-substantial fuel, making a famine where abundance lies, thyself thy foe, to thy sweet self too cruel. Thou that art now the world's fresh ornament, and only herald to the gaudy spring, within thine own bud buryest thy content, and tender churl makest waste in niggarding. Pity the world, or else this glutton be, to eat the world's due by the grave in thee. Sonnet 2. When 40 winters shall besiege thy brow. Here Shakespeare paints a vivid picture of the young man's future. He imagines the man's youthful beauty fading with age and urges him to have a child to carry on his legacy. The poet uses the metaphor of winter to symbolize old age and the inevitable decline of physical beauty. When 40 winters shall besiege thy brow and dig deep trenches in thy beauty's field, thy youth's proud livery, so gazed on now, will be a tattered weed of small worth held. Then being asked where all thy beauty lies, where all the treasure of thy lusty days, to say within thine own deep-sunken eyes were an all-eating shame and thriftless praise. How much more praise deserved thy beauty's use? If thou couldst answer, this fair child of mine shall sum my count and make my old excuse, proving his beauty by succession thine. This were to be new made when thou art old, and see thy blood warm when thou feelst it cold. Sonnet 3. Look in thy glass, and tell the face thou viewest. Shakespeare advises the young man to look into a mirror and see his own beauty, which should not be selfishly kept, but shared through offspring. The mirror serves as a metaphor for self-reflection and the recognition of one's duty to continue the lineage. Look in thy glass and tell the face thou viewest. Now is the time that face should form another, whose fresh repair if now thou not renewest, thou dost beguile the world, unbless some mother. For where is she so fair, whose uneared womb disdains the tillage of thy husbandry? Or who is he so fond will be the tomb of his self-love to stop posterity? Thou art thy mother's glass, and she in thee calls back the lovely April of her prime. So thou through windows of thine age shalt see, despite of wrinkles, this thy golden time. But if thou live remembered not to be, die single, and thine image dies with thee. Sonnet 4. Unthrifty loveliness, why dost thou spend as wool? In this sonnet, Shakespeare criticizes the young man for wasting his beauty by not passing it on to a new generation. He compares the young man to a usurer who hoards wealth without putting it to good use. Unthrifty loveliness, why dost thou spend upon thyself thy beauty's legacy? Nature's bequest gives nothing but doth lend, and being frank, she lends to those are free. Then, beauteous niggard, why dost thou abuse the bounteous largesse given thee to give? Profitless usurer, why dost thou use so great a sum of sums, yet canst not live? For having traffic with thyself alone, thou of thyself thy sweet self dost deceive. Then how, when nature calls thee to be gone? What acceptable audit canst thou leave? Thy unused beauty must be tuned with thee, which used lives the executor to be. Sonnet 5. Those hours that with gentle work did frame, Shakespeare shifts his focus to the passage of time, comparing it to the distillation of flowers into perfume. He suggests that just as flowers can be preserved as perfume, the young man's beauty can be preserved through his children. Those hours that with gentle work did frame the lovely gaze where every eye doth dwell, will play the tyrants to the very same, and that unfair which fairly doth excel, for never resting time leads summer on to hideous winter and confounds him there. Sap checked with frost and lusty leaves quite gone, beauty o'er-snowed and bareness everywhere. Then were not summer's distillation left, a liquid prisoner pent in walls of glass. Beauty's effect with beauty were bereft, nor it nor no remembrance what it was. But flowers distilled, though they with winter meet, lease but their show, their substance still lives sweet. Sonnet 6. Then let not winter's ragged hand deface thing. This sonnet continues the theme of time's ravages on beauty. Shakespeare implores the young man to defy the destructive power of time by having children, thus ensuring his essence lives on. Then let not winter's ragged hand deface in thee thy summer ere thou be distilled. Make sweet some vial, treasure thou some place with beauty's treasure ere it be self-killed. That use is not forbidden usury, which happies those that pay the willing loan. That's for thyself to breed another thee, or 10 times happier, be it 10 for 1. 10 times thyself were happier than thou art, if 10 of thine 10 times refigured thee. Then what could death do, if thou shouldst depart, leaving thee living in posterity? Be not self-willed, for thou art much too fair to be death's conquest and make worms thine heir. Sonnet 7. Lo, in the Orient, when the gracious light, using the metaphor of the sun's daily journey, Shakespeare illustrates the life cycle from dawn to dusk. He urges the young man to think of his beauty as the rising sun that should be shared and not allowed to set without leaving a legacy. Lo, in the Orient, when the gracious light lifts up his burning head, each under eye doth homage to his new appearing sight, serving with looks his sacred majesty, and having climbed the steep up heavenly hill, resembling strong youth in his middle age, yet mortal looks adore his beauty still, attending on his golden pilgrimage. But when from highmost pitch with weary car like feeble age he reeleth from the day, the eyes, for duteous, now converted are from his low tract and look another way. So thou, thyself outgoing in thy noon, unlooked on diest, unless thou get a son. Sonnet 8. Music to hear. Why hear'st thou music sadly? Shakespeare uses the metaphor of music to explore the theme of harmony and procreation. He suggests that the young man's beauty would be in harmony with nature's music if he had children to continue his melody. Music to hear, why hear'st thou music sadly? Sweets with sweets war not, joy delights in joy. Why lovest thou that which thou receivest not gladly, or else receivest with pleasure thine annoy? If the true concord of well-tuned sounds, by unions married, do offend thine ear, they do but sweetly chide thee, who confounds in singleness the parts that thou shouldst bear. Mark how one string sweet husband to another strikes each and each by mutual ordering, resembling sire and child and happy mother, who all in one pleasing note do sing, whose speechless song being many seeming one, sings this to thee, thou single wilt prove none.